Good evening, everybody. It is Friday evening. Here we're coming at you. We're doing a show a day early. I've got some Easter stuff to do tomorrow, so we'll be doing that next week too. So we get the shows posted early for y'all. And this week is really going to help us out because we've got some Masters talk we're going to get into to lead off the show. And Tiger is actually in contention, so this is fantastic. But we are the Talking Hats. I'm Dale. That's Harish, and we're coming at you. Let's get right into these topics because we've got a lot to get into here. Kicking it over to you. Let's get this going.
Tiger said he may play in the Masters. That was buzz just to begin with.
Yeah, and that's now buzzworthy in and of itself. A might is buzzworthy.
Right. And now he's actually playing and doing fairly well. Yeah. I mean, he's actually keeping up with the competition. And I forgot who's leading the Masters.
Scottie Scheffler is in the lead right now with 5 under. And he's the number 1 player in the world right now. So that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. He's hot this year.
And if Tiger can get into the weekend, like if he can close the gap between himself and the other players, I think the next, 5 or 6 players, I think he'll be in a very good contention when it goes into the weekend. And I also feel that he can actually win this, man. I honestly feel that what he stated on the ESPN and whoever that joker was asking that question that you posted, that's just a ridiculous question to ask a GOAT. It's just a ridiculous question to ask somebody who is the GOAT of golf. Can you win this? Why would I be here if I couldn't?
Yeah, I don't think he would have even ever considered going out there just to make an appearance. There's no chance he plays unless he believes he can win. That's how he is, and that's how really this latter part of his career has been. With only playing in the bigger tournaments, not playing in the smaller tour events anymore. He's out there for these majors because he really believes he has a shot. And that's how it's going to be probably, until he finishes out here. He's chasing Jack. So, he's only got you can count how many majors he has left in his career now. And so he'll be out there for those, health dependent, of course. But he's looking good now from a health standpoint. And then his play, he looks as sharp as ever. He got off to a rough start here today, but he's cleaned it up here on the what do they call it for the Masters? It's not the back nine. The second nine is what they call it at the Masters. So he's cleaning it up here, and I'm actually taking a glance over at what's going on here and there while we do the show. But I couldn't care less how he plays. I just wanted to see him back out there. I was saying before, I just hope he makes the cut. I don't even care if he doesn't make the cut. I'm just glad to see Tiger back out there competing. That's my guy. He's the GOAT. He's the reason I care about golf in the first place. He's the reason my son's going to be a golfer. Tiger's just my guy. So, yeah.
Can't argue with that, man. Can't argue with that because it's good to see him because the game did miss him. People have to admit,
no question.
Like the game did miss him, and he does bring that level of competition. It's like when Michael Jordan plays, you want to play the best. You just don't want to play people who are not the best. I'm not saying like Rory or the person that you just named, they're not. It's just that when you have a prolific individual like Tiger come back, it can elevate your game, or it can actually play mind games with you and be like, oh man, can I even beat this guy?
Yeah, and he brings the eyes too. And what he does for a guy like Scottie Scheffler, who like I said, is in the lead. He's at 6 under now. He's in the lead still. What it does for a guy like him, being the number 1 player in the world, if Tiger's not there this week, then all the pressure and all the eyes are on him. That's a lot to weigh on your shoulders, especially for a young player like him. And it might have knocked him off his game. But having Tiger there, all the eyes on him, all the attention is on him. So Scottie Scheffler can just go out there and play golf. No pressure. And that he's in the lead with no pressure. He's in the lead and all the eyes still aren't on him. I'm still out watching and only care about Tiger, who has a birdie putt lined up here. I think he's on 15. And if he sinks this, and he'll be at even par. And he missed it. Dang it. So he'll par this hole. It's right off the edge of the hole. So he'll par this one and still be at 1. He's at +1 right now. And he's doing very well. Everybody's struggling today. The winds are brutal. So everybody's struggling right now. He just finished 16 and he's at +1. So that's what we're looking at right now.
That's good stuff. I would just say this. It's going to be an entertaining weekend. And if anybody can come and watch the Masters for just a few hours, I would say go for it and relax with a cup of iced tea or your
it's must-see TV.
It is must-see TV. And Tiger brings a whole lot of enthusiasm because now you have a dog in the fight. You know what I'm saying? You have like a dog in the fight. You want to kind of see him and maybe it's just us. I think we have a soft spot for what he went through because a lot of people like mentally won't be able to come back within a year to play the Masters the way he has. So you have to give credit to him to kind of, and he even said if he wasn't playing well, he's not going to crowd out there, but he had a pretty decent practice round. He was hitting the ball smoothly, but of course there are going to be some corrections in the game, as you stated, Dale. So, and once he fixes that, they better watch out. Watch out.
He's gonna make the cut. He's not in danger of that anymore. So anybody who bet that, I know draft T-shirt on the Junkies. I think he put a $4,000 bet on Tiger making the cut. Yeah, this guy gave him $10,000 to just bet with as he sees fit because he believes in Drab and his betting, I suppose, or he's just a big fan. So Drab put $4,000 of that money on Tiger to make the cut, and that's safe right now. He's going to make the cut. And going into the weekend with the way he's managed the course. His driver has been a little wayward, and he's been able to scramble and recover from those wayward drives. And I think he's got a good feel for the course right now. Knowing that and the way he's going to go into the weekend here, I expect him to work his way up the leaderboard, and I expect him to fully be in contention on Sunday. And that's what I've got as far as the golf goes. I know that's first, I play here and there. I wouldn't call it a strength. It's not my forte as far as commenting on it. And I don't know how you feel about it, but that's what I've got for that right now. He's about to tee off here on 17. But we can go ahead and wrap up this segment if you don't have anything else for that.
Good, brother.
Good deal. So we're the Talking Hats. We're going to wrap up segment 1 here. And then next up, we were going to get into the NFL, which is it remains in the news, even though it's the offseason. It's still really topic and sports. So we're going to wrap this up and we'll be right back. We are back from the break here at the Talking Hats. We're going to go ahead and get into the Commanders, their draft needs. Terry McLaurin is big news this week. So let's go to kick this thing off. Here, you should get it started.
Well, I've been hearing a lot of buzz about teams calling and trying to want to trade for Terry. I'm going to tell you this right now. I agree with Ron. They're not entertaining any of that because if they do something like that, it's going to be uproar in the streets. Uproar. Like, it's not even going to be funny. I think I may actually stop being a Commanders fan if that happens, because that's the only bright spot that I can put my hat on is Terry McLaurin. And he's had 3 years of 1,000 yards, if I remember correctly, 3 years straight of 1,000 yards.
That sounds
right. And if you had a quarterback, it would be more. If you just had a quarterback, it would be more. So,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if they do something stupid, I don't know that'd probably be my last straw. I mean, I will probably have to watch another team or, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're going to entertain it. But
we've got room for you on the Broncos bandwagon over here. And everybody knows that they're going to be good this season. So feel free to, and even that lasts throughout the season. If the Manders go out there and stink it up, feel free to jump on the Broncos bandwagon. Let Russ cook. Danger Russ. We got room for you.
I probably might. I mean, I probably might even jump over because I've always had a soft spot for Denver because of Elway back in the early days. And I've always wanted him to win a Super Bowl. If anybody else, just him. But hey, I mean, but in all honesty, they're not going to do that. I mean, Ron said they're not even entertaining it because Terry's a Ron guy. So they need players like him. They'll get the deal done over the summer. I mean, because Terry's not that kind of like individual. I know you have your reservations on that, but I heard a little tidbit that Landon Collins may come back for the cheap if no one else signs him. So that might put a wrinkle in the contract.
That's a hard pass. That's a hard pass for me. He's injury prone. He's positionless. I don't even a discount. I don't think he's a need for the defense unless he's going to put on a little bit of weight and make a full-time switch to linebacker, period. No hybrid positions. I forget what the position was called. I mentioned on the previous show. He's not a player that they don't have a need there in my opinion. I'm not interested in that. I think they need to re-sign McLaurin. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll entertain trades at this point. But if they get off to a struggling start in the season, then I think he's a piece that they'll definitely look to move if a contender is looking for a receiver, if there are injuries or something. he's gonna command a huge deal. Like I said before, he's a top flight receiver. He's elite. So elite talents, they're getting big deals. That's just how it is right now. He's not just an average receiver. He's a game-changing receiver. Will they make a move to keep him? I can't see him doing it. I just can't see it. And so
Don't
for that
say
reason,
that, man, please. That's the only thing I have on this team besides like defensively.
I can't see him doing it, and I'm not sure that I disagree with that because it's too much money to put. Like we said, I think this was last show or the show before. It's too much money to give to a guy who might touch the ball max 10 times a game. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that for any receiver.
And that's the problem when business gets into the play of the game or the signage. It's like, do you want to sign one player for that much or 10 players for that much, or 5 players for that? So it's almost like it's a difficult decision. Yes, I might not like it because it is there because I am a homer team, and if that happens, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow. But with the draft, there's been rumblings and grumblings about them. Olave and the other wide receiver is escaping my mind from Ohio State. What's his name?
I feel like it's Williams, but I might be lying.
Yeah, I think it's. I just read it a few.
I just read it too.
There's
so much going on, it slipped my mind.
Yeah, but they are saying that the top 2 wide receivers for Ohio State may go sooner. Like the Saints I saw one mock draft that the Saints may pick up Olave and Garrett. I think his name is Garrett.
That sounds right. Garrett Wilson.
There we go, Garrett Wilson. He may even go even sooner. Like maybe because the wide receiver depth this year is so insane. I mean, they're at least top 5. All those receivers are coming out, and they're talking about them picking up the LSU safety or even the Penn State safety. I'm sorry, the Penn State safety, who is actually pretty decent at number 11. That's the hard part is people are asking, should they trade up or trade back? And I'm like, well, at 11, you have no leverage to move up, and I don't see them moving back.
If they're going to go defense with their first pick, first of all, I don't care where the pick is. I disagree with that because their offense sucks. Their defense was fine even after Chase and Montez got hurt. So if they go defense with their first pick, they're going to be a terrible team next season. But if you're going to do it anyway and choose to be a terrible team, then they have to trade back from 11. That's too high to make any defensive pick. There's rumor that they're interested in pass rusher. There's I forget where the guy plays. There's a guy who is highly ranked and even rumored to be the first overall pick as a pass rusher.
You mean Hutchinson from Michigan, the defensive end?
Probably. That sounds right.
Yeah, because I thought the Jags are going to, or did the mock draft change?
Yeah, that's why I said he might be the first pick.
All right.
So with them picking at 11, if they want to be a playoff team next season, they got to get the offense straight up. And I'm not sure that Carson Wentz on his own is enough to get that done. He needs help. They need a receiver. They need a receiver, whether or not they're going to re-sign McLaurin. I'm assuming they won't. So they got to get that guy this year. And they got to get the guy, even if they do re-sign McLaurin, because he needs a compliment. I don't think Curtis Samuel is that compliment. Even healthy, I don't think he's that. So to me, they have to go receiver. I keep saying that. I hope this message gets to Ashburn. These guys need to hear that. You better draft a receiver if you want to be a good team next season. Screw running back, screw defense. Got to draft a receiver.
Because that USC receiver, they're saying he was like 6'4". His yak is amazing, right? Yards after a catch, but he has inconsistencies. And it's like, you can work on the inconsistencies. I mean, that's what the coaching in the NFL is all about, is to fix your misgivings in college. So if you can get a big body guy, Terry, I mean, they can probably relieve some pressure off of Terry, and then they can get to him. And then in the later rounds, as you stated, draft the offensive lineman, draft the defensive guys, But with the first round pick, with that help with Carson Wentz, Carson Wentz can't win by himself. And you're absolutely right on that. I mean, it's going to be a very difficult thing for him to do, because if Terry's covered, I mean, you don't even have a tight end because Logan Thompson's coming back with the knee injury. You don't know how, steady he's going to be. You have John Bates, who's showed glimpse of what he can do. And then Sammis Reyes, who I love personally, he's a blocking tight end. He's not really a catch passer either. He can become one, but I think he's so far behind the curve is because of his transition from basketball to football. It's going to take him some time. So you have to, you're absolutely right. You have to have an offensive power, an offensive player, to help out Carson Wentz. Not Terry. I think Terry will get his yards. He will get his yards. It's just that you need that number 2 receiver, the solid number 2 receiver, so Carson doesn't make those boneheaded mistakes that he's known for.
Yeah, I was trying to look up here. My internet's moving too slow. There's a receiver, a guy I know texted me about, I think he's at Texas A&M. He was comparing him to Michael Irvin. And he was saying the name didn't ring a bell. I hadn't really heard of the dude. So if he's a guy that you can get maybe in the second round and you don't want to go receiver first, I'm okay with that. Is just first 2 picks go
Has
offense.
To go offense.
Even if with the first one you want to shore up the offensive line a little bit, that's fine. As long as the second pick is 11.
So you're saying go O-line 11th pick and then the second round pick.
I'm saying I don't care where it is as long as it's offense.
Got it.
If they draft, mark my words, if they draft defense with their first pick, they will not make the playoffs next season. They need too much help in their offense to do that.
I agree. Okay. That I can live with. I can live with that because that kind of forces them to kind of hone in on like, what do we need to do? Like, don't get a player just because to get a player. Get a player that can actually be impactful and help out the team when he comes to Ashburn, or and then help out the quarterback when he needs to. So I'm going to ask you a question about Denver, and I want your honest opinion, because I was mulling this over and I was like, are they playing it safe, thinking Russell Wilson can solve all their problems on the offensive side? And do they need to go out and get like maybe a solidified like receiver or a solidified like tight end or something to help them out?
They do need to consider bringing in a tight end, whether it be a free agency or I know their first pick is second round, maybe even going there for tight end, because they traded Noah Fant in the Russell Wilson deal. But as far as playing it safe on offense or just overall, I don't think so. From a receiver standpoint, they've got 3 guys who could start at number 1 on other teams, and Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, and Cortland Sutton. Those guys, in my opinion, are 3 top flight receivers. So from a receiver standpoint, he's got all the weapons he needs there. They're probably going to lose Melvin Gordon here. He's a free agent. I can't see them bringing him back, but they've got a solid backfield. His backup, I think his name was Williams. Maybe Williams is just sticking in my head for some reason, but I think it was I can forget his first name, but his backup, Gordon's backup, was solid last season, so they don't need to go there either unless they just want to get depth later. Again, and running back is not a position you draft high anymore anyway. So as far as playing it safe on offense, no, they're set there. Defense, they're set there. They can draft a pass rusher later, but they don't have a position on defense that you look at it and say, we have to get somebody here outside of middle linebacker. And Alexander Johnson's a name I keep bringing up. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him. If they don't, then they'll probably spend their first pick there at middle linebacker. But at safety, they re-signed Kareem Jackson. They've got Justin Simmons at the other safety position. And then at corner, you've got Surtain and then young depth outside of him. So, no, they're not playing it safe. They're good to go. Their draft is just going to be about outside of tight end, which I guess can be a hole, but you've got 3 receivers which make up for that. Outside of tight end, though, no, they're good. They're good to go. And they'll prove it. They're going to show everybody.
And now, do you feel that they're flying underneath the radar, and because no one's really talking about them? I mean, even though Russell Wilson was like the biggest news, you haven't heard anything from that. And from that, like, how dangerous can this team be? Because this team is loaded. I mean, I asked the question because is like they're playing it safe, and they're not playing it safe. I was just like, since they're not doing anything like big to get free agency or their draft, because since they're already set, this team can be very dangerous. But how dangerous can they really be in the AFC?
See, for me at ground zero here in Denver, it's hard for me to say they're flying under the radar because they're all I hear about here. So you been there, what do you like? Are you hearing a lot about the Broncos, or are they flying under the radar out there?
I
Here,
mean,
they're topic A still.
I mean, because over here, not really. I mean, because the Commanders only the biggest talk was Terry and what they're going to do at number 11, and also entertaining like Chase Young. Is he going to come back and become that prolific pass rusher that needs to be there? So over here, it's not really Denver. I mean, all the news outlets like when I check all of them, Denver doesn't really pop up except for Russell Wilson. And everything else has been kind of like hush, like kind of radio silent. So I'm like, are they not getting the attention that they need because of Russell Wilson? And is that a good thing or a bad thing?
See, being here in the middle of it, I don't know if they're flying under the radar nationally. I feel like they're not. Having an elite, top 3 quarterback, it's hard for a team like that to really fly under the radar. So they can't sneak up on anybody with that kind of notoriety in the backfield with him. And that aside, I don't think they're getting too much hype either. I think any hype they're getting on a national stage is deserved because I think in the end they will be there.
I can see that. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Because that's all I had for the football talk. Because right now, I mean, pretty much like Denver is stacked up. The Washington
and some. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. First, you started breaking up and then it shut off. I don't know what happened
that's
there.
Crazy, yeah.
Well, we're still recording right now, but you can edit this part out.
Yeah, I can edit this part.
But I'm going to go ahead and pause. We're the Talking Hats, and we are back here for segment 3 of the show. We're going to get into some NBA talk here with the Wizards leading it off, touch on the Nuggets, the Lakers, and then maybe even some Brooklyn Nets and whatever else we can get into here. The Lakers' demise, all of it. So I'm going to kick it over to you to get us started off with the Wizards.
So since they're out of playoff contention and they want to play spoiler, they've done a fairly decent job of that, I would say, because when they beat the Mavericks like, oh God, we got to win the next game. And then they went to Boston. They poo-pooed in Boston, and they went into Atlanta. And then I was just like, they could have won in Atlanta. I mean, they had a shot at winning. I have no idea why that was a debacle. Maybe it was Trae Young and his ice in his veins, 3-point shooting, but he didn't do that until the third quarter. So they kind of like, I think it was just a huge implosion of the entire team. But one thing I have to say though is you could see what this team can be in the future. You can really see what this team can be in the future. And as we said on previous shows, once they get that point guard solidified, once Beal comes back into the starting lineup, they have tinkered with this lineup enough. And whatever they've tinkered, we have said the starting lineup for them. Like on previous shows, we have said this can be the starting lineup, and that starting lineup did occur. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, I feel that they're just a point guard away from actually going into the playoffs. Not saying they will go first, just getting into the playoffs and at least making at least a top 8, maybe a top 7 kind of standing since they are today. What do you feel?
Yeah, I've been pretty negative about the Wizards here in the past, I don't know, 3 weeks to a month. Pretty down on them. And once they got eliminated, I was really trashing them. But I want to be positive here, thinking about the future. I want to be optimistic about what I've seen out of Porzingis here lately. If he's healthy, with Kuzma and Beal coming back, if Porzingis is healthy, the roster as it is now, they can be a play-in game type of team as it is right now. This roster, if they can add what I think they need in the draft as far as a point guard, or pick up somebody in free agency who can be a starting point guard, they can be middle of the pack in the East, like 4, 5, 6, not even playing level with the guys that they have with Porzingis healthy, with Beal playing at the level that he did last season. This season's Beal, he was so up and down, I can't even get a gauge on, what he really is. So I'm going to assume that he's the guy from the past 2 seasons where he was up there in the scoring leaders. If he's that Beal with the roster they have now with Kuzma and those guys, this team can be a 4, 5, 6 level team in the East. And the East this season wasn't even that strong. So it's unfortunate that they had the injuries they did, or they could have made some noise this season. I mean, look at a team like Brooklyn, who's in the play-in game. So if Brooklyn's there, then who knows what the Wizards would have been with the fully healthy roster. It's what ifs and what could have beens right now. But thinking towards the future, I still want them to get that star player at point, whether it be in the draft or free agency. And this team has a bright future, even with Wes Unseld and the struggles he had this season. I'm going to assume that a guy with this coaching experience can take a lot away from this season and build towards next season and have a stronger rotation, because he tinkered with that a lot this season. And hopefully going into next season, there won't be so much tinkering. He can have something nailed down and go forward and be a strong contender in the East.
Well said, because that's what I feel is I think that's lagging, is those two things, is the starting five needs to be set, and him learning and growing from what he has learned, because I think there was a lot of background noise with the Dinwiddie situation, going to Montrezl Harrell situation,
a lot of turmoil overall this season with health and everything else.
Yeah, so let's see how that goes next year, because I think this team, and I think people can see it too, that this team can be very formidable against, and I think Thomas Bryant may be gone. We don't even really need him.
I can see that, because he's not even playing. So, no, but they're like every year, they have those flashes that just tease you. So right. I want to see one of those flashes turn into an explosion, and it can happen next season if he gets some stability with the lineup and stability within the leadership on the team and all of that. Because all of that was lacking this season from the top down.
And 100%. And I also feel that when you said that, for him growing and learning, and that's what a new coach has to do, is he has to learn and grow. Yes, they started out hot, but as the season went down, something happened. And once you figure what happened or why that something happened, the sky's the limit for this team. And I haven't been this excited for a Wizards team in a very long time, since the arena, since the big, with Karam Butler, Antoine Jameson, and Gilbert Arenas. I haven't been excited since then. So hopefully this team can pull that kind of rabbit out of the hat, I say, like a year turnaround and continue success. But enough with the Wizards.
Fingers crossed, man. I want to be positive.
It's hard. It's really hard to do. But hey, you know what? Positivity is all we have in this world nowadays.
Right. Choose positivity.
Choose positivity. So enough about the Wizards. Let's talk about your Denver Nuggets.
Yes, indeed.
What is going to be their playoff strategy now? And how are they going to win?
I honestly don't think they have a strategy at the moment, because Murray is coming back and Porter Jr. might come back. Murray is coming back. That's nailed down. That's set in stone. With Michael Porter Jr., I haven't really heard too much about him. I've seen him warming up before games, and he looks fine. But I don't know what the plan is there. Maybe they're taking his long-term health into consideration, maybe not going to bring him back. And maybe they're thinking that might upset the rotation too much. I don't know really. But they're going to have enough time with them pretty much being locked into the 6th spot. They're going to have enough time between when they play their first playoff series and the end of the regular season that they can work Jamal Murray back in. Even if he doesn't make it back by the last game, they'll have almost 2 weeks before their first game to work him in and practice and get the chemistry down and all that. He's ready to go. He's been ready to go. I think they've just been kind of maybe playing mind games with the rest of the Western Conference because they don't know who they're going to play. So they're first of all getting their chemistry in order in practice, and then not trying to show too much on film with what they have in him right now. But I've seen before games, he looks great. His shot looks better. He's got the energy. He looks strong. So he's going to come in and be a shot in the arm for that offense. And then the Joker is playing at as high a level as he ever has been. They played the other night, they played the Spurs and lost. And that knocked the Lakers out of the playoffs because they went out there and lost the same night to the Pelicans, I believe. And then the Nuggets, last night they played the Grizzlies, and Jokic, he got injured early in the game and had a gusher going. He was bleeding all over the place. He was wearing a headband for the rest of the game. He had the headband Jokic going and didn't miss a beat. Still playing at the MVP level as always, and they blew out the Grizzlies without Ja Morant. That was, I think, their third loss all season without him. So
I mean, come on, they went up against a juggernaut at that point. They went up against the Joker and that team. So even without him, that stat that you gave, I mean, sometimes you have to throw that out the window when you're playing like a juggernaut.
Yeah, I think they're like 22-3 right now without him, something like that.
Yeah.
But the Nuggets, man, it's not all going to depend on whether or not they get Murray back. That's going to happen, like I said. But even without him, there's still a tough matchup for whoever they match up against, whether it be the Grizzlies or the Warriors. That's looking like it's going to be one of those two teams right now. The Mavs are still in play. Whoever it is, they're going to come up against a buzzsaw. The Nuggets in Jokic, they're not a team you want to see. They're not somebody I'm going to worry about whether or not they get Murray or Porter Jr. back. To me, they're still the team to beat in the West.
So you forgot to name the X factor, though.
Who's that?
Boogie Cousins. I think Boogie Cousins is going to be the X factor in the playoffs. And the reason why I say that is he brings a different kind of play to the Joker. If you see them when they play together, they play very well off of each other, very well off. And I think you'll see that lineup, that two big lineup in the playoffs if they're going against the Golden State Warriors, because you have Draymond Green. They probably have Boogie probably guard Draymond and have Joker as a stretch four maybe, and then that way it's going to put the Golden State Warriors in a bind to have them.
I'd be surprised to see that that lineup on the floor together, but like I said, I don't know what their plan is, so we'll have to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, because I mean, for me personally, because those two individuals alone, they're stretches. They can play a stretch five or a stretch four. So it's almost like, who are you going to kind of guard? Because they can shoot it from distance and they can take you into the paint. So it's going to be a great chess matchup, like how they're going to get those players, because you know who's going to start. Jamal Murray's going to come back. Porter Jr. may or may not play, but the bench is really solid for the Nuggets. The Joker is going to be, I mean, they should just announce the MVP as him. I mean, I don't know what's taking them so long.
Yeah, that's over. And with Murray coming back, that's only going to help their bench depth out. And they're a perplexing team, because you would think they would have a home court advantage being here at altitude, but they won their last 25 straight road games. Their last 25 road games they won, and they kind of struggled here at home. I expect that to kind of flip in the playoffs. I think that home court advantage will come into play, and the crowds will be more into it. The altitude is going to affect the road teams, and I think they might kind of struggle a little bit on the road in the playoffs. That's usually how things play out, but it remains to be seen. We'll see. I expect they're my team, man. I know I'm biased, but I don't think their first round matchup, whoever it is, the Warriors or anybody, I don't think it'll be an issue for them. I expect them to get through that.
Western Conference Finals?
After that, who knows? I've kind of dogged Coach Malone for not being able to get him past that. But they just extended him. So maybe that took some pressure off of him, and he'll get it done this year.
I mean, all you need is to it's like the Capitals when they won the Cup in 2018. They just need to get over a certain hump.
Yeah.
And I think this year they can, even though, because the thing is, you can see the team, they gel very well around Jokic. They gel very well around Boogie and Jamal Murray. So all it takes is that one. If they can beat if the Warriors are there, that was the hump that they lost, that they have to get over. Once they get over that hump, I mean, I don't think anybody in the West can kind of go. Maybe Phoenix. That's the only team I can see that can go toe to toe with them. And I think that'll be a great Western Conference final if the Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns meet. That has to be like breaking all must-see TV news.
Yeah, and I don't know about the seedings if that could happen. I think it could off the top of my head. And like you said, that would be fantastic to see. I would drop everything to watch that one.
I would fly out to Denver to see that, man. Shoot.
I mean, I would expect the ticket prices to be insane, because I might have to tell Raina, I can afford one ticket, so I'm going to go check it out. I'll FaceTime you, let you know how it's going. But that would be fantastic to see.
I mean, just even going to the bar to see that, just to be in that atmosphere. Oh my God! That's what.
Definitely looking forward to the vibe out here, and the Avs will be in it at the same time. So that'll be, this area is going to be crazy during playoff time for both teams, and hopefully they can both stick around long enough to really stretch that out, and we can enjoy it. That'd be fun.
It'll be awesome.
Nice summer.
It'll be a fantastic summer it'll be like a nice summer in Denver. It'll be a really good time in Denver. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about the I can't even come up with a good nickname, not the Showtime Lakers anymore. Maybe like the Buzzkill Lakers, I can say. Maybe because they or the Lakers turmoil or turmoiling Lakers. I mean, like, it just doesn't stop. This is like the Washington Commanders of basketball almost.
Like, yeah, they're the dried up Lakers. I mean, so my brother Chris, he had a Facebook post a couple of days ago saying he put out there, run it back without AD, like keep the same roster intact and get rid of Anthony Davis. And that's something that everybody knows how I feel about Anthony Davis now. I call him Mr. Glass. I don't trust him. He's not somebody that you can rely on. That bubble team, that'll always have an asterisk for me. I know they won the championship, but since then and even before that, I don't think they had Anthony Davis before that. But after that, this season has just been a disaster. And without Anthony Davis, if they're that same team without him on the roster, I think they're better because he's a guy you kind of counted on to be there for you. He never was. So if you know you don't have, if you know you can't count on him to be there, then you approach the game differently. I think they're a better team in that regard. Russell Westbrook has more of a role on a team like that, and I think if his role is expanded, he plays better. I think him with a bigger role kind of takes pressure off of him. So if I'm them, I like to trade him and bring in a reliable piece. Something I also proposed was Anthony Davis for DeMar DeRozan. Which team says no to that? Like, which team says no? If it's me, I'm the Bulls, and I say no. Even though DeMar DeRozan is older, I still rather have him than a fragile Anthony Davis. So,
why would you make that even trade though? Because he's playing out of his mind now.
DeRozan,
yeah.
The reason they might consider it is because he's older. He's in his mid-30s now. Anthony Davis is still around 30-ish.
Yeah, late 20s, I would say maybe. Yeah.
So that's why you would think about it, but you can't count on him. So I wouldn't.
I mean, because I would have to say this. Magic Johnson was like, when they traded Kuzma, when they traded, Montrezl Harrell, and then they traded Ball away, the Lakers lost their defensive presence, their prowess. And not to toot our own horns, we said that like in the beginning of the season. Once that trade happened, the Lakers lost a lot of pieces. And and the thing is, it's not about and LeBron and Westbrook going at each other or whatever that may be. I mean, at the end of the day, like, they're losing teams who have turmoil will go at each other. It doesn't matter what the frustrations are. And when you see that, you can tell that they don't want to be there. And there's been rumblings and grumblings. I want to get your opinion on that. LeBron there talks about him going to Golden State. Do you think he'll jump to Golden State?
No, I know he would want to. If he had a choice, he would. But Steph has kind of nixed that. He said, "No, I'm good." So if he doesn't want it, he's the Warriors. They're going to do whatever he wants. I don't care if LeBron wants to be there. They're not going to acquiesce to LeBron because Steph has brought them 3 rings. So They don't need LeBron for anything. He needs them at this point, but they don't need him. And with Steph not being interested, that'll never happen.
And I also
Steph is the sheriff in town.
Oh, no, not at all. It's just that, like, if people like to talk a lot of things about, what's going on right now, as we stated in our previous show, clean house. If you don't like what it is, keep one. I mean, you're going to keep LeBron, and you have to clean everybody else out. From the GM, Pelinka's got to go. I mean, in my honest opinion, I think
LeBron is the GM.
Well, that's true. But I mean, bringing somebody that can tell LeBron to be like, hey, you know what? You may call the players, but I call the shots. And bringing somebody that can be like, go toe to toe with LeBron and be like, you're not calling the shots anymore. I'm the one who's going to build this team. You'll have an input in it because it is your team. But eventually I'm going to work with the owner and I'm going to work with the other personnel people to see who it is. Because is Jeannie Buss still the owner now, or is it someone else? Jeannie's the Buzz, right? Because knowing how that organization where the owner always gets involved in the picks since Jerry left. But it's just that something's not right about the Lakers. And it's really sad to see this one prolific team come down to the Commanders level. I hate to say it, but that's what's happening. And that can't happen. Not for basketball and not for the fans.
As far as LeBron is there, he's going to be the guy calling the shots because there's not anybody with the gravitas to stand up to him outside of a Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is too rich to want to come in and work. So if they can't bring in a guy like him to come in and call the shots, There's nobody else who could come in and stand up to LeBron and say no. If Magic were there, he could say no to any kind of move LeBron wanted to make. But as long as LeBron is in that uniform, anybody who's in the GM position is going to have to run any moves by him. They might see on the, they might see a move they want to make, but they can't pull the trigger without running it by LeBron.
But now you think that's a toxic place now, the Lakers to go to?
As long as they're not winning, yeah. If they have been a winning team this season, then winning cures all. Winning masks any stink. So if they had even been a playoff team this year, despite the fact that LeBron is the one calling the shots, it's not toxic because it's successful. But with them losing, it's toxic. It just is.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Enough about the Lakers. I think that is it's just sad. It's just really sad.
Yeah.
But what did you feel about that next comeback? The Brooklyn Nets coming back from the Knicks 20 points down and beating them. What did you think about that?
It's the Knicks.
I knew you were going to say that.
Typical. No surprise there. And with the Nets being they're at full strength because Ben Simmons has been ruled out for the rest of the season. So this is as full strength as the Nets can be. With them being at full strength, they're a team that can make a run like that against anybody. We'll see how they're gonna fare in the playing game. Let me see if I can get the standings up here for the Eastern Conference to see who they're lined up against. I'm not sure if it's going to be the Hawks or the Hornets. Either way, without even looking it up, either way, we said this before. No matter who they play, that there's a lot of parity in the Eastern Conference this year. They're a great team, but they're not deep enough that you can say that they'll go out there and just handle anybody. The Hornets are a good team. The Hawks just beat the Nets. So whoever they match up against, it's going to be a tough game, and it's not a sure thing they're going to win that game. Mm-hmm. So you can't just count that. It's not a game I would say bet your mortgage on or anything like that. That's a tough game, and they are in real danger of losing. I think they get another shot if they lost because they're in 8th, so it's not one and done for them. They have 2 shots at getting in, but they're not, again, even winning another game after that, they're not a shoo-in, not by any means.
So do you feel that they'll make the play-in game, or they're
locked in to the play?
They're locked into the play. Okay, so
the top 6 are set.
Okay, so but if they're in the 8th place, then how can they? Or is it? Are they top 6 or top 8?
Top 6 are in. Then 7, 8, 9, 10 a playing game.
Oh, so that's how the playing game works. Since they changed it, it's all like I'm just like I'm still trying to get used to to these new playoff strings with the NBA, because back in the good old days it was like the top 8, just like hockey, and 1 versus 8, 2 versus whatever, and all these playing games. Like I feel it's unnecessary. Like if you're top 8, you make the playoffs. That's it. No questions asked. But
I don't agree with it how they're doing this now. I think it incentivizes NBA teams too much to rest players during the season, because even if you're in the 10th spot, you have to play in, but you're still in the playoffs. I think if with top 8, it makes the regular season more important, and teams are still going to rest guys, but you can't do it as much. I hate the resting. I hate maintenance and all that. Jordan in his last season played, I think, 82 or 80 games or something like that. Yeah. And he was 40 years old. So I hate it. I don't think it's necessary. It's a game. Go out there and do your job and play the game.
Yeah, you get millions of dollars.
You maintain in the off season.
Yep. So, I mean, I'll say this, with technology nowadays, you can recover a little bit faster with what ailments you have. If you have they have these pressurized stuff that you can put on your legs. They have a bodysuit. They have so many things nowadays.
Yeah, there are so many ways. And like I said, in the off season, if you're maintaining your body, you'll do better throughout the regular season.
Right.
The way they're babying these athletes these days, I'm the old man shouting at a cloud right now. Even in the MLB with pitchers, the way they baby them, I think all this stuff leads to more injuries. But I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. What do I know? I see how it's playing out. That's just what I see.
True.
A team you had on the list that you wanted to touch on as a sleeper was the Clippers. Somebody that nobody's talking about that's a real sleeper is the Raptors. And they're getting healthy here too. They're getting OG Anunoby back. They're getting Van Vliet. He missed the last game, but he's healthy. I think that was just maintenance I was just talking about. But they're getting healthy here at the right time. And they just went out here and beat the Sixers without Van Vliet in the lineup. That's a dangerous team. And they might have to match up against the Sixers in the first round. They're so well coached. They're another team like the Nuggets that if I'm anybody, I don't want to see that team. So they're another team that people need to be talking about here.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Nick Nurse has done a great job with the Raptors. He always has, even with the cards that he's been dealt, maybe injuries or others. It's going to be exciting to see how they come into the playoffs and how they're going to be battling in the playoffs, because they don't have that same power thing that they used to, but as you pointed out, they ain't no sleeper either. I mean, they will come and knock you, and if you're not prepared, they'll beat you by 20 in a matter of seconds. So
teams that are so well coached like that. I mean, you can't sleep on them.
No, and I said the Clippers only because Paul George came back. If Paul George did not come back, I don't think they'll be where they are right now.
Well, they are where they are right now, and they got there without him. So they're another team. Even without him and Kawhi in the playoffs, you can't sleep on them because they're well coached and they play hard every single night. They play hard. Without Paul George and Kawhi, they were playing hard every night. They would be down 35 and come back with a team like the Wizards. They were down 25 and came back on somebody the other night. I forget who, but they're dangerous, man. And now they've got Paul George back and Kawhi's back practicing here and there too. So they might get him back for the playoffs.
That's why I think this year's NBA playoffs is going to be a little bit better than last year.
Yeah, we said that last show. Every round should be fun to watch. Every matchup should be fun. There shouldn't be any sweeps. There should be good competitive basketball in every round of the playoffs this year, and you can't ask for more. I mean, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's it for us for the NBA. We've kind of went through what we feel like can be, and I hope you guys take our takes on that, because we had some pretty cool takes on it. And if you guys want to bet money, hey, hopefully you guys can make some.
Yeah, so switching gears, we're going to get into the next segment. We're going to get into the March Madness, and then we'll wrap up the show with some we got to talk about MLB opening day too here and there, so we'll get that in here at some point. And March Madness, MLB, and then some hockey to wrap up the show. So Talking Hats, we're going to take a break here. We'll be right back. Talking Hats, and we are back here to talk about some MLB opening day. We're going to get things started here with some Nationals talk and how they fared yesterday, the Rockies and how they're faring today. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look up the Orioles yet. I think they opened up against Tampa.
Yeah, they lost 2-1.
Okay. All right, so you got to get us started on opening day in the MLB.
It's about time. I'm happy baseball has come back. It puts people in a good mood, because people always wait for opening day. There's a lot of baseball fans out here. People want to see it happen. Whatever happened over the last couple of months, yes, we all hated it. Everybody voiced their opinion. We definitely did. And it's good to see opening day. People used to take off of work to go to opening day, and they still do. So I have to be real honest. Like, I haven't really been keeping up with the Orioles in the last couple of months, because it's just, I just never, I stopped watching it just because the product that they put on the field. I mean, it was just not the way I saw this team envisioning when they had the playoff run with Buck. And after Buck left, it's not the same for me. So I got to do a little bit more research. I'll come back with a little bit more firepower on the Orioles, but I'll hand it over to Dale to speak on the Nats and the Rockies, and I'll chime in.
Yeah, the Nats went out there yesterday for opening day and stunk it up after a rain delay. Patrick Corbin actually pitched well through, I think, the first 5 or so innings. He looked pretty good, and then gave it over to the bullpen, who, of course, lost the game. A bright spot is one. Soto homered and got off to a nice start, but the rest of their lineup is kind of woeful, and they weren't able to put any more points on the board and any more runs on the board. So they struggled, and they're going to struggle all year. They've got Josiah Gray on the mound today, who they picked up from the Dodgers in the Turner and Scherzer trade. Speaking of Buck Showalter, he's out there coaching the Mets, and they've got Scherzer on the mound today against the Nats. So I don't think that game is going on. It might be starting right now, as a matter of fact. So I'll have to look into later on to see how they're doing today. Of course, don't expect them to beat Max, but definitely want to look into it anyway. I mean, I want to see how Max fares in his return to DC. And then I just checked them out. The Mets, they should be all right this season. They've got a pretty strong lineup, and of course a strong pitching staff. Even though DeGrom's out with an injury here to start the season, poor Pete Alonso last night got crushed in the face by a fastball. He got hit like right in the side of the face. He had to leave the game. His mouth was bleeding. I happened to tune into the game to see that when that happened. That was pretty brutal to see. I hate seeing stuff like that. So I hope he's okay. He's a great young player. But you got any commentary on the Nats there before I switch gears into the Rockies?
This is going to be the same Nats team if they don't fix their bullpen, because that's the kind of issues they had a couple of years ago, and they kind of solidified it during the middle of the season. But I mean, I'll say this: if they don't have an all-round team, they're not going to win. They don't have like a couple of players. Their entire lineup is like a curve. Sometimes they'll do really well, and you'll see them come back down to earth, and they'll come back up, and they'll come back down. So it's going to be a high and low season for them, in my opinion. But hey, anything can happen in baseball. It's 182 games, so
that's true. But I'm expecting a lot of lows from them this season. Their lineup has some mashers in it, but outside of Soto, they don't have any guys who really hit for average, and their pitching staff is atrocious. Strasburg.
He's injured, isn't
Anthony Davis. Who knows what you're ever going to get from him?
Right.
I mean, their bullpen is pretty awful. They had to bring back Doolittle. I don't know that he's what he once was, but he probably won't get many save opportunities anyway, because they probably won't have too many leads. It's going to be a down season for them, but hopefully that'll lead to a good draft pick, and then bright spot next season. We'll see.
Hopefully, we'll see. Yeah. What about the Rockies? You think?
With the Rockies, they've got opening day here today, and they're losing. It's 5-2 to the Dodgers here, who started Walker Buehler on the mound. He's always a tough start. They suck as bad as the Nationals. Their pitching staff is not good. Their lineup is not good. I know they brought in Chris Bryant on a big contract, maybe building towards next season, but they're not going to. They might have the worst record in the league this season. They're not going to be good, and not really worth talking about. I just want to touch on them because it's opening day, but they're going to struggle this season.
And home team a little bit. Home team.
Right. They're not a team they're not like the Broncos, a team that I root for. I'll go to some games just because it's something to do here, but they're not my team by any means. They stink, and they don't even try to win. They get rid of all their good players. So they're like the Orioles West. I won't root for them.
Oh, that's hard. Yeah, that hurt because that's so true.
Yeah,
that is so true.
The Nationals get rid of their good players, but at least they bring up good players. And the Rockies,
yeah.
No.
You think? I hope they can sign Soto, but I don't think that's going to happen. So
I don't see it either. The only hope that I'll hold out is the fact that they haven't made any moves this season, and so maybe they're saving up to give him a big deal. He's going to command so much money that I don't expect him to do that. He'll probably be a Yankee or a Met next year, in the next few years.
Yeah. Because, if you look at the news, they said Aaron Judge didn't want to sign back with the Yankees. So the Yankees may be looking for some other players next year, or even
he still might. He just put the brakes on any negotiations during the season. But if they back up the Brinks truck to him in the offseason, he'll resign. I don't know that I'd do that. He's injury prone and doesn't hit for average either. Yeah, he's a bomber, but you can get another bomber. I wouldn't waste all that money on him.
I agree, because there's no point in paying somebody who gets injured and then all of a sudden it's like $200 million signed up to one player who can't really perform. How many dingers? 50 home runs. Okay. That's but strategic hitting is more important than just bombing the thing. Because if you don't know how to hit in like a crunch time, if it's like a 2-1 game or 2-2, and you get struck out more, you're not really helping your team either. But you can also hit that home run. So it's almost like a seesaw battle, right? It's like a chance. Like, do you really want to take a chance? And I guess the Yankees really want to take a chance if they want to, win another World Series. But
yeah,
that's all I have for Major League Baseball, man. Do you have anything to touch upon before we close out this one?
I sure don't. We can go ahead and take a break here and then close out the show with NHL talk and the March Madness talk too. So we are Talking Hats. We're going to take a break and we're going to be right back. We're the Talking Hats and we're back from the break here. We're going to get into the NCAA March Madness National Championship. Kick it over to Harish to get us started on that. We've got a good bit to talk about on that one and then wrap up the show with NHL.
All I have to say is, wow. I mean, I thought it would be a back and forth, game. It was probably one of the greatest games I've seen in a long time. Kansas down by 20, beat them by 3. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. I mean, and it showed the great coaching that Bill Self did, and it also showed that you can't run 5 all the time. You need your bench to step up in places to give your starters a rest. And I understand not Hubie Brown, sorry. Dang it, the UNC coach. I mean, I think he's
Hubert Davis.
Hubert Davis, yeah. Like, yes, I understand that you want to, kind of control the game with your starting 5. Even if he sat a little bit of them, I think he could have even got a better kind of push in the end, because it looked like they were a little bit tired. Like, it's just like they couldn't get off their legs. Some of the and Kansas, got to give them credit. They locked down defense. I mean, you saw future NBA stars in that entire game. It was, to me, it was just one of the greatest games I've ever seen in a long time. Because usually when a team's down by 20, they don't usually recover. They really don't. And for them to claw back, it has that mentality of their coach and also the mentality of the players that we're not going to lose this. And we've come this far. And you could see that they were fighting and scrapping the entire game to chip away. And that's what they did. And congratulations to them.
Yeah, and like you said, the biggest comeback in NCAA history in the championship game. A lot of credit should go to Bill Self for that, for motivating the guys at halftime. When you see something like that, when you see a 15-point lead going into the half, the game really should be over. This goes back to what I said earlier in the season when the Wizards lost a 35-point lead. When you get a 15-point lead on a stage that big, it's hard to lose that. For Bill Self to motivate the guys to come back, I mean, that's demoralizing to go into the half down 15 after everything you worked so hard for them to keep their spirits up, for them to go out there and fight hard to come back. They deserve a lot of credit for that. And Hubert Davis deserves credit too, though, because losing the lead, those guys could have given up and lost the game by like 15, but they fought too. They lost the lead and came back and took another lead with just over a minute to go. They had the lead. So it was a back and forth affair from there, and poor shooting took them out down the stretch. Neither team shot well late in the game. But I think North Carolina just ran out of gas there. They were an 8th seed. They fought hard to get to where they were, and I'm not taking anything away from that 8th seed getting there. They weren't supposed to be where they were. For them to even be at 8th seed and get into the tournament, that was something. For them to make it all the way, I mean, Hubert Davis, he proved his mettle as a coach. He's legit. They're legit, and it was a great game, great matchup for both teams, both squads.
Can't call for anything else.
Yeah, that's right. So switching gears here into the NHL here. We've got the Caps winding up the season here, and the Avs too. Both teams playing well and getting stronger here towards the end of the season. So I'm gonna kick it over to you to touch on the Caps here.
Yeah, that loss against the Wild, 5-1, that's going to happen. I mean, sometimes the team just beats you. I mean, they played bad. The Wild got on them. That's it. It happens. That's sports. But to come back and beat Tampa Bay 4-3, that's saying something. And the way they
Lightning
came
are
back,
legit too.
Yes, they are. I think, aren't they like number 3 in the East?
Every year they're up there. They're good. They're a consistently good team. So to hang in there with them and then beat them, that deserves some credit too.
Oh yeah, and with Ovi scoring and Carlson, I like how they're positioning him to score now off the draw, off the power play. There's kind of set plays for him. And now you have to cover the entire team. Matha, I love that signing when they did a couple of years ago. And he's playing lights out. Even though he's not getting his goals, but he's putting fear into the defense and to the goalie that little short width, he's so fast that if you miss it, it's going to be a goal. So you got to be on your toes. And with the Caps, I think they're hitting their stride correctly now. And I will be surprised if they don't win their last – I will be surprised if they lose from any other games until the end of the season. I'll be really surprised if they lose. So it's going to be a great playoff run right now. I think they can go deep. It's just, we just have to see.
Yeah, and it's looking like they're going to match up with Carolina right now. So we'll have to look into this regular season, how they've matched up against each other to kind of break that down, to kind of get a picture on how they're going to fare in the playoffs against them. No matter what, that's going to be a tough matchup. Carolina's the 1 seed, so I'm interested in looking into how they fared against each other in the regular season. I know the last game was 6-1. Carolina won that game, so we'll have to break that down and see how they're going to fare there. But yeah, like you said, I expect a deep run from this team. They're well coached. They're deep with, they've got guys like Garnet Hathaway outside of the guys you mentioned, and then with Vanacek in goal. I mean, this is a strong squad, and they can make some noise in the East and hopefully be there against the Avalanche in the end. So
I got to ask you this, right? So the Avalanche have the best record in hockey.
Yeah.
And they're going to win the President's Trophy in the end. Now, it's a curse because a lot of teams who win the President's Trophy don't go on to win the Stanley Cup or do well in the playoffs. Do you feel that may hinder them because it kind of puts them at but puts a lot more pressure on them to do what they need to do?
Let's see. I mentioned this last show that I think the last time they won the President's Trophy, they went to the Stanley Cup final, but I didn't look it up. Let me see if I can get this up here quickly to confirm that. Because if that's the case, then I know that that's usually the case where the President's Trophy team doesn't do well in the playoffs. And the Caps, when they won it, I think they lost in the first round. But I think when the Avalanche won it, let's see here. I've got this up here. The 2011, I think, was that season. I
think the 2011 team was stacked, right? They had an amazing play. I think they had Joe Sakic.
I don't want to confirm it because I might be making this stuff up, but then my computer's moving too slow right now. I think because we're recording the show for me to look it up. But I'll have this next show. I think the last time they won the President's Trophy, I think they also went to the Stanley Cup final that year. Mm-hmm. So I'll have that nailed down next season. We can go into that. But like I said, it hasn't fared well for the Caps. But I don't put any credence into that for this team because they are deep and they are well coached and they have depth on the defensive end too. I expect the matchup to be Avs and Caps at the end, and we're going to see how they match up against each other here next week when the Caps come to town. So looking forward.
That'll be a great matchup. I mean, is it? I mean, as they say, is it going to be a future Stanley Cup matchup? That'll be. I think so. Time will tell. Yep. If it is, heck. It'll be great hockey to see, man. It'll just be so great hockey. So who are you going to root for if that happens?
Caps. I'll be wearing an Ovechkin hoodie that I just ordered, and I just ordered an Ovechkin jersey for my boy too. We're gonna go down to the ice and try to get that signed before the game. I don't think it'll work out, but you never know. We'll give it a shot and see how it all plays out.
Just make a sign. Just be like, hey,
yeah, we'll have a sign. Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, Obi, I'm named Alexander after you. We signed my jersey, so we'll see.
We'll see. I hope maybe Hathaway can give you guys something too if you see something.
A puck would be nice. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But man, it's a Friday evening. We had a long day for both of us, and we want to give the long week actually. Yeah, so we did the show early, so because the weekend is tied up with family, and we always say family comes first. So we try to kind of fit in our busy schedule this show. And, so we just wanted to say thank you guys for supporting us and everything that you guys do. Thank you for the views. The videos that we have posted. Thank you so much for everything. And I have nothing to say. Dale, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, again, just like, subscribe, support, spread the word. Support us, we'll support you. A great weekend. Wishing a great weekend, everybody. Happy Easter to those who celebrate. And just thank y'all for being here and bearing with us throughout the show. Thanks for everything. Talking Hats, and we are out for this week.
Peace.